They told you it was impossible. They told you that out of millions of people moving through your city right now, there was no way destiny could be guiding one specific person toward you. But what if that wasn't true? What if, at this very moment, while you're listening to these words, your soulmate is closer than you have ever imagined? Not in another country. Not on the other side of the world. Not years away from meeting you. In your city. Breathing the same air. Walking under the same sky. Passing through streets you already know. And before you dismiss that idea, there is something strange you need to hear. Because the signs surrounding this connection have become impossible to ignore. In fact, by the end of this message, you may realize that you have already crossed paths with this person without even knowing it. And when you understand the clues, the timing, and the shocking details that keep appearing again and again, you may never look at your city the same way. Stay with me. Because the final revelation changes everything. There is a reason you clicked on this message. A reason your eyes stopped scrolling. A reason your attention was pulled here while thousands of other videos competed for it. Most people believe attraction starts when two people meet. But ancient spiritual traditions suggest something very different. They say the connection begins long before the introduction. Long before the first conversation. Long before the first smile. According to these beliefs, two souls can begin influencing each other's lives even before they know each other's names. Think about that. Have you recently felt an unexplained pull to visit a new place? A coffee shop you've never entered before? A street you rarely walk down? A store that suddenly caught your attention? A park you randomly felt like visiting? Many people ignore these moments. But sometimes destiny whispers before it speaks. And the whisper comes first. Your soulmate's energy begins moving toward yours. Tiny decisions start changing. Unexpected events appear. Schedules shift. Plans get cancelled. Routes change. And slowly, invisibly, two lives begin moving toward the same point. What makes this even stranger is what has been happening lately. Look back over the last few weeks. Have you noticed unusual coincidences? Repeating numbers? Unexpected memories? Dreams that felt more real than normal? The feeling that something important is about to happen? That feeling isn't random. Many people experience it shortly before a major connection enters their lives. But here's where things become shocking. Because there is one sign that appears more often than almost any other. The feeling that someone is thinking about you. Not constantly. Not obsessively. Just small moments. A sudden emotional wave. A random smile. An unexplained sense of comfort. A strange feeling that somebody, somewhere, understands you. And when these moments start appearing repeatedly, something bigger may be unfolding behind the scenes. Imagine your city right now. The roads. The lights. The shops. The apartments. The restaurants. The traffic. The crowds. Now imagine that among all those people is someone carrying questions about love that sound exactly like yours. Someone who has been through disappointments that strangely mirror your own. Someone who has spent nights wondering whether real love actually exists. Someone who has almost given up. Someone who has prayed for a sign. Someone who is unknowingly moving closer to you every day. And here's the part nobody expects. Your soulmate may not look the way you imagined. Most people create a picture in their minds. They expect a specific appearance, a specific personality, a specific lifestyle. But destiny loves surprises. The person meant for you often arrives wrapped in unexpected packaging. They appear when your expectations finally loosen. When you stop forcing. When you stop chasing. When you stop trying to control every detail. Because true connections rarely enter through the door we keep staring at. They often arrive through the door we never noticed. Now pay attention. This next part is important. Imagine receiving a photograph. Not a literal photograph. A spiritual photograph. A collection of clues. Pieces of a picture. Fragments that slowly reveal someone standing just beyond your current view. What do you see? You see someone who carries quiet strength. Someone who has survived challenges without telling everyone about them. Someone who understands pain. Someone who understands growth. Someone who has been transformed by experiences that forced them to become stronger than they ever expected. You see a person who values loyalty. A person who notices small details. A person who remembers conversations. A person who listens more than they speak. A person who doesn't need to be the loudest person in the room to leave the deepest impact. Does that description feel familiar? That's because genuine soulmate connections often feel familiar before they feel exciting. Before passion comes recognition. Before romance comes understanding. Before chemistry comes resonance. And resonance is what changes lives. Now let's talk about location. Not an address. Not a street number. Not a map. Something deeper. Because when people ask, "Where is my soulmate?" they are usually asking the wrong question. The better question is, what stage of life are they currently in? And the answer may shock you. They are preparing. Just as you are. Growing. Learning. Healing. Becoming. The same process happening inside you is happening inside them. The lessons you've been learning? They've been learning their own version. The obstacles you've faced? They've faced different obstacles leading to similar wisdom. The heartbreak you've survived? They've survived heartbreak too. Almost as if life has been preparing two separate stories for one eventual meeting. And every chapter mattered. Every delay mattered. Every setback mattered. Because if you had met earlier, the timing would have been wrong. You wouldn't have been the version of yourself that exists now. Neither would they. And sometimes destiny protects a connection by delaying it. Not denying it. Delaying it. There is a difference. A huge difference. Because denial closes a door. Delay prepares a doorway. And many of you listening right now are standing closer to that doorway than you realize. Think about how quickly life can change. One conversation. One introduction. One invitation. One wrong turn. One unexpected event. One message. One ordinary day that suddenly becomes unforgettable. That's how destiny usually works. Not through dramatic announcements. Not through flashing signs. Through ordinary moments carrying extraordinary consequences. Which means your soulmate may already be part of your environment. Maybe not your life yet. But your environment. The same city. The same region. The same circles. The same destinations. The same events. Closer than you think. And there is another clue. Your soulmate is likely experiencing change right now. A shift. A transition. A new chapter. Because major connections often appear when both people are stepping into new versions of themselves. New opportunities. New goals. New perspectives. New beginnings. The old chapter ends. The new chapter opens. And somewhere between those pages, two paths finally meet. Now imagine this. What if your soulmate walked past you yesterday? What if they stood behind you in a queue? What if they entered a building moments after you left? What if your lives have already come within meters of each other? The possibility sounds unbelievable. Yet in a city full of moving people, it happens more often than anyone realizes. Near misses. Close encounters. Invisible intersections. Moments that seem meaningless until the future reveals their significance. And that is why this message matters. Because it reminds you to stay aware. Stay open. Stay present. Not desperate. Not obsessed. Present. Because destiny often arrives disguised as normal life. The final revelation is this. Your soulmate is not the prize waiting at the end of your journey. They are someone whose journey is finally aligning with yours. The universe isn't simply bringing you a person. It is bringing together two stories. Two timelines. Two sets of lessons. Two hearts that have been growing in separate directions until the moment they are ready to grow together. And when that moment comes, many things that once seemed confusing suddenly make sense. The delays. The waiting. The lessons. The endings. The unanswered questions. The paths that led nowhere. The doors that closed. The people who left. The opportunities that disappeared. All of it begins forming a picture. A picture that could never be understood while it was still being painted. So if you've been wondering where your soulmate is tonight, consider this possibility. They may be closer than you think. Walking somewhere beneath the same night sky. Dreaming about a future they cannot yet see. Searching for something they cannot yet name. Moving one step at a time toward a meeting that neither of you can fully predict. And when it happens, you may look back at this moment and realize something astonishing. The signs were there all along. The clues were everywhere. The connection was already moving toward you. And destiny had been working quietly behind the scenes the entire time. And yet, even after hearing all of that, there is one question that refuses to leave your mind. If your soulmate is truly this close, Why haven't you met them yet? That question has echoed through countless hearts. Why would destiny bring two people into the same city and still keep them apart? Why would two lives move through the same streets, pass the same landmarks, and breathe the same air without finally colliding? The answer is more mysterious than most people realize. Because proximity and readiness are not the same thing. Two souls can stand only minutes apart and still require one final lesson before the meeting can happen. One final realization. One final release. One final transformation. And what you're about to hear may explain why everything has unfolded exactly the way it has. Think about the version of yourself that existed 2 years ago. Would that version of you have recognized the connection you are capable of recognizing today? Would that version have understood the value of loyalty? The importance of honesty? The necessity of emotional maturity? Probably not in the same way. Life changes people. Challenges change people. Heartbreak changes people. And your soulmate has been changing too. Right now, somewhere in your city, there is a person carrying experiences that have shaped them for this exact chapter. Experiences they wouldn't trade. Experiences they wouldn't wish on anyone. Experiences that taught them what truly matters. The strange thing is that many of those lessons mirror your own. Not identical, but connected. As if two different teachers were preparing two different students for the same final exam. And here's where the story becomes truly incredible. Because there are signs that your paths are beginning to overlap more frequently. You may have noticed a growing restlessness recently. A feeling that something is changing. Not necessarily around you. Inside you. A sense that an old chapter is ending. A sense that certain people no longer fit your energy. A sense that your priorities are shifting. That feeling matters. When destiny prepares a major connection, it often begins by rearranging your inner world. Old attachments weaken. Old fears surface. Old patterns become impossible to ignore. Not because life is punishing you. Because life is preparing space. And space is important. You cannot fully receive something new while holding too tightly to something old. Many people miss this. They ask for love while clinging to disappointment. They ask for connection while holding on to resentment. They ask for a new chapter while rereading the last one every day. But growth requires movement. And movement creates momentum. Momentum creates encounters. And encounters change everything. Now imagine this. At this exact moment, your soulmate may be asking questions very similar to yours. They may be wondering if real love exists. They may be questioning whether destiny is real. They may be trying to make sense of events that seemed unfair. They may be looking out a window tonight, unaware that someone else in the same city is thinking about the same things. And the most fascinating part? Neither of you knows how close the other one actually is. Because destiny rarely reveals the ending before the journey reaches the correct page. Instead, it leaves clues. Subtle clues. Repeated clues. Persistent clues. Perhaps you've been noticing familiar faces appearing in unexpected places. Perhaps certain locations keep showing up in your life. Perhaps a particular area of your city keeps calling your attention. Perhaps you felt unusually drawn toward a place that once meant nothing to you. Many people dismiss these experiences. But sometimes intuition notices patterns before logic catches up. Sometimes your heart detects movement long before your mind understands it. And that brings us to something extraordinary. The picture. Not a physical picture. A deeper picture. A clearer picture. A picture that has been developing throughout this message. Imagine your soulmate standing somewhere in your city right now. Not perfect. Not flawless. Not a fantasy. Human. Real. Someone who has laughed until they cried. Someone who has cried when nobody was watching. Someone who has made mistakes. Someone who has learned from them. Someone who has carried hope through difficult seasons. Someone who has refused to give up completely, even when life gave them reasons to. Can you see that person? Good. Because the more realistic the picture becomes, the closer you move toward recognizing them when the time comes. Many people fail to recognize extraordinary connections because they are searching for perfection. But real soul connections don't arrive looking perfect. They arrive feeling familiar, comfortable, natural, safe. Like a conversation that somehow started years ago. Like meeting someone new while simultaneously feeling you've known them forever. And when that happens, it catches people off guard. The connection feels deeper than logic can explain. The timing feels impossible. The coincidence feels too precise. The emotional resonance feels too strong. And suddenly all those strange events from the past begin making sense. The delays. The waiting. The uncertainty. The loneliness. The lessons. Every piece becomes part of a larger picture. Now there is something else you need to understand. Many soulmate meetings happen after one specific shift. A shift in attention. The moment someone stops obsessing over finding love and starts focusing on becoming the person they want to be. That shift changes everything. Because desperation pushes opportunities away. Confidence attracts them. Fear narrows vision. Peace expands it. An expanded vision allows you to recognize what has been near you all along. Could that be happening right now? Could life be moving you toward a version of yourself capable of seeing what you've previously overlooked? A version capable of recognizing the connection when it finally appears? Only you can answer that. But if you're listening this far, there is a reason these words resonate. A reason they feel familiar. A reason they feel personal. Because deep down, many people already sense when a chapter is ending. They already sense when something new is approaching. They already sense when destiny is beginning to move. And what happens next may surprise you. Over the coming days, pay attention. Not with anxiety. With awareness. Notice who enters your life unexpectedly. Notice unusual conversations. Notice invitations. Notice opportunities to go somewhere you normally wouldn't. Notice moments when your intuition quietly says, "Pay attention." Those moments matter. More than you realize. Because destiny often whispers before it speaks loudly. And those whispers are easy to miss if you're distracted. Now picture your city again. The roads illuminated by streetlights. The buildings stretching into the distance. The thousands of lives unfolding simultaneously. Somewhere among them is a person carrying a future that intersects with yours. A future conversation. A future smile. A future memory. A future story. The remarkable thing is that neither of you can see the entire picture yet. You only see your side. They only see theirs. But destiny sees both. And destiny has been connecting invisible dots long before either of you became aware of them. One event leads to another. One decision creates another possibility. One coincidence opens another door. Until eventually the distance disappears. And what once seemed impossible becomes reality. Perhaps that reality is closer than you think. Perhaps the city that feels ordinary today is quietly preparing an extraordinary introduction. Perhaps the reason you felt different lately is because your story is approaching a turning point. Perhaps the reason you clicked on this message wasn't random at all. Because sometimes the universe doesn't send answers. It sends reminders. Reminders that life is still unfolding. Reminders that possibilities still exist. Reminders that the story isn't over. And tonight, the reminder is simple. Your soulmate story is unfolding at the same time as yours. Their chapter is moving. Your chapter is moving. The pages are turning. The distance is shrinking. And somewhere in your city, under the same sky that stretches above you right now, a future connection continues moving closer with every passing day. Not because fate is rushing. Not because destiny is late. But because the timing is approaching exactly as it was meant to. And when the moment finally arrives, you may realize that what felt like waiting was actually preparation all along.